P of x equal to x square minus x minus 2. Okay. This is the polynomial of degree 2. Then at most it may have two zeros. That is, if it is of degree 2, it may have at most two zeros. That is, maximum number of zero the polynomial can have is 2. That is, it can have no zeros, 1 0, or at most it can have 2 0. Maximum number of zeros the polynomial will have is 2, not more than that. Okay. In order to find 0, put x square minus x minus 2 equal to 0. In order to factorize this polynomial, we have to know two numbers, that is, whose product is negative 2 and sum is negative 1. What are those numbers? 1 and negative 2, that is 1 into negative 2 will give negative 2. 1 plus negative 2 will give negative 1. Now, we can factorize this polynomial into x plus 1 into x minus 2, which is equal to 0. Which implies x plus 1 equal to 0 and x minus 2 equal to 0. So, what are those numbers? That is x equal to negative 1 and x equal to 2. So, the zeros of the polynomial are x equal to negative 1 and x equal to 2. Next, we have to find the geometric meaning of zeros of polynomial. So, we have to draw graph. Before that, we can plot the points. That is, if x equal to 0, then what is the value of y? That is negative 2. If x equal to 1, then 1 minus 1 will give 0. That is again negative 2. If x equal to 2, that is 0. That is 2 square 4, 4 minus 2, 2, 2 minus 2, 0. That is x equal to 2 will give 0. Then if x equal to negative 1, then negative 1 square 1, 1 minus 1, 0. Sorry, 1 minus negative 1, that is 1 plus 1, that is 2, 2 minus 2, 0. Again, negative 2 will give negative 2 square, that is 4. 4 plus 2, sorry, 4 plus 2 will give 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. So, we get our points for plotting the graph. Next, we can plot the graph. So we get, so we take x-axis and y-axis here. Then x-axis is x itself. Y-axis is the value of p of x. Now, what are those points? That is 0, negative 2. That is when x equal to 0, y is negative 2. That is this. Sorry, at first we can take this point. That is negative 2, 4. That is the intersection of x equal to negative 2 and y equal to 4. What is that point? That is x equal to negative 2 is this point. Y equal to 4 is this point. Intersection of these two will give this point. Next, negative 1, 0. That is x is negative 1 and y is 0. That is this point. Intersection of x equal to negative 1 and y is 0. That is this point. Next point, 0, negative 2. That is y is negative 2 and x term is 0. That is what, where is that coordinate will come? That is, sorry, where is that coordinate? That is if y is 0, sorry, x is 0 and y is negative 2, that is in this y-axis. Okay. That is in the y-axis, x coordinate is 0 always and the x-axis, y coordinate is 0 always. So 0, negative 2 will be on y-axis. That is x coordinate is 0 and y coordinate is negative 2. Next point is 1, negative 2. That is x coordinate is 1 and y coordinate is negative 2 here. Next point 2, 0. Okay, that is this point. Y coordinate is 0 and x is 2. Intersection of both will gives this point. Next, we have to draw graph joining these points. Okay. We take another point also here, that is x equal to 3 and y equal to 4. Next we can draw graph. So graph will connect these points, and we can note here that graph intersects at x-axis exactly at 2 points. What are those points? That is x equal to -1 and 2. So what is our conclusion? Here we have 2, 0 and graph intersects at 2 points on at x-axis, which is x equal to -1 and x equal to 2. So graph is intersecting at x-axis at 2 points, that is the 0 of this polynomial, that is x equal to -1, that is graph is touching at x-axis at x equal to -1 and x equal to 2, that is the 0 of the polynomial. So the next problem, p of x equal to x cube minus 4x. So we have to find the zeros here. For that, at first note that x is of degree 3, that is the degree of the polynomial is 3, then p of x is of degree 3, then it has maximum of 3 zeros. Okay, that is the polynomial may have maximum 3 zeros here, that is at most 3 zeros here. So in order to find 0, at first take x cube minus 4x equal to 0. Next, on taking x outside, we will get x into x square minus 4 equal to 0, which implies x equal to 0 and x square minus 4 equal to 0. If x equal to 0, x square minus 4 equal to 0, then we can write x plus 2 into x minus 2 equal to 0. That is x square minus 4 is x plus 2 into x minus 2, which implies x equal to 0, x plus 2 equal to 0 and x minus 2 equal to 0. Hence the zeros are x equal to 0, x equal to minus 2 and x equal to 2. So we have 3 zeros here, that is x equal to 0, x equal to -2 and x equal to 2. Next we have to plot the graph. So our points are when x equal to 0, y equal to 0, that is polynomial is 0, then x equal to 1, then 1 cube minus 4, that is -3, x equal to 2, 2 cube, that is 8, 8 minus 4 into 2, that is 8, which is 0 again, x equal to -1, then -1 cube is -1 itself, -1 into -4 will give +4, -1 plus 4 is 3, -2 cube minus 4 into -2 will give, that is -8 plus 8, that is 0. So we get our points here. Next we have to draw the graph. So at first we can plot the point, that is x equal to 0, then y equal to 0. X equal to -2, then y equal to 0, that is this point. That is x-axis is -2 and y-axis is 0, this point. Next point, -1, 3, that is x is -1 and y is 3, that is this point, that is intersection of x equal to -1 and y equal to 3 is this point. Next point, that is 0, 0, that is this point, that is the center, the origin. Next is x equal to 1, y equal to -3, that is x equal to 1 and y equal to -3 will comes here, here. Next, x equal to 2 and y equal to 0, that is this point. Okay, so we get our graph, the points here. Next we have to draw the graph connecting those points. So our graph will be like this. Okay, connecting this point, our graph will be like this. So we can note here that the graph is intersecting at 3 points. Okay, that is x equal to -2, x equal to 0 and x equal to 2 at x-axis. So, here we have three zeros and graph intersected 3 points in the x-axis, which is x equal to 2, x equal to -2 and x equal to 0. So, you can see here the graph is intersecting at x equal to -2, x equal to 0 and x equal to 2. So, which are the zeros of the polynomials? Okay. The next problem. P of x equal to x square plus 2. Here the polynomial is of degree 2. It may have at most 2 zeros. Put x square plus 2 equal to 0. That is, at most 2 zeros means maximum number of zeros it can have is 2 or minimum it can have is 0. That is, it can have no zeros also. Here x square equal to -2. So not possible, real number square cannot be negative. Okay, since x square plus 2 equal to 0, which implies x square equal to -2. A real number square cannot be negative. So what we can conclude here, this has no zero at real line. Okay, that is, this polynomial has no zero at real line, or hence there are no zeros for the polynomial. Now we can plot the graph. That is, P of x equal to -2, then y is 6, that is -2 square plus 2, that is 6. -1, that is 1 plus 2, that is 3. X equal to 0 means 2. X equal to 1 means 3. And x equal to 2 is 2 square 4, 4 plus 2, 6. So what is our graph? That is, okay, that is, first point is x equal to -2 and 6. Where is x equal to -2 and 6? So at first we are plotting the point -1 and 3. Okay, here is -1, that is here -1, x equal to -1 and y equal to 3. This point. Next point, x equal to -2 and 6, that is, this is x equal to -2 and this is 6, that is, these 2 points are coinciding here. Next, 0, 2, that is x equal to 0 and y equal to 2, this point. X equal to 1 and y equal to 3, that is this point. Now, x equal to 1 and y equal to 3. X equal to 1 and y equal to 3, this point. Next, x equal to 2 and y equal to 6, that is this point. That is, x is 2 and y is 6. It is coinciding here. On drawing graph, we will get a graph like this, which is not intersecting at x-axis. That is, which is not meeting any point at x-axis. So what we can conclude, here we have no zeros and graph intersects at no points at x-axis. Okay. Note, here polynomial is degree 2 but no zeros. That is, if a polynomial is of degree 2, it can have at most 2 zeros, which means it can have no zeros or 1 zero or at most 2. That is, maximum possible number of zeros is 2. Okay. Here we have no zeros. Okay. So if a polynomial is of degree n, we can conclude that it can have at most n zero. Also, it can intersect at most n points on the x-axis, or it can intersect at no points on the x-axis according to the number of zero. Okay.